Good morning, and welcome to week 3 of Contemporary Producing. Whether you're joining us live in the classroom or watching this through our University of YouTube approach, I'm excited to dive into one of the most practical and essential skills you'll learn this semester: budgeting fundamentals. Now, before we begin, I need to establish something critical about today's learning experience. This is a learning simulation. Let me repeat that. This is a learning simulation. What does that mean? It means that as far as you get with creating a budget is as far as you get, and that's perfectly fine. Here are your success metrics for this week. First, you need to understand that you need a budget for any production. Second, you need to know what elements that budget represents. And third, you need to learn the process of budget creation through hands-on practice. Let me be clear about outcomes. Best case scenario. You fill out a complete budget for your film using all the information and templates we're providing today. Learning case scenario. If you don't complete it fully, we've provided complete examples that you can study and adapt by plugging in your own numbers. Both outcomes represent success. Now let's talk about what I call the shift happens principle. In film production, mistakes, incidents, and accidents are part of reality. You absolutely must account for the unforeseen, the unknown, and Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. This is exactly why we budget for contingency and insurance. These aren't optional luxuries, they're survival tools. So what exactly is a production budget? Think of it as 3 things simultaneously. It's your financial roadmap for the entire project, showing you where every dollar needs to go. It's your tool for securing financing, proving to investors that you've thought through every cost. And it's your management document during production, helping you track spending and make informed decisions when challenges arise. Every professional budget is organized around 2 fundamental categories: above the line and below the line. Above the line covers your creative costs: writers, directors, producers, and principal cast. These are the people who create and shape your story. Below the line covers your production costs: crew salaries, equipment rentals, locations, and post-production. These are the technical and logistical elements that make your story a reality. You'll encounter budgets in 3 different formats, and you need to understand all 3. The top sheet is your summary of major categories, perfect for investors who want the big picture quickly. The detail budget breaks down every single line item. This is what you'll use during production for day-to-day management. And the one-liner gives you a single-line summary per category, useful for quick comparisons and proposals. For independent producers, budgets serve an additional crucial function. They force you to make creative decisions early. Every dollar you spend on one thing is a dollar you can't spend on something else. Understanding this trade-off mentality is what separates successful indie producers from dreamers who never get their projects made. Let's get practical and look at 3 real budget scales. Because understanding how money flows differently at each level will help you make smart decisions for your project. As you'll see in your workbook, we've provided actual budget examples and downloadable templates for each scale. First, micro budget, $50,000 to $100,000. At this level, your crew is mostly deferred or low-paid positions. You're shooting with borrowed equipment or low-cost rentals. Think DSLR cameras and basic lighting. Your locations are free. Homes, public spaces with permits, anywhere you can get access without paying location fees. Your cast is non-union, often working for deferred payment or small day rates. Post-production is DIY, using basic software you can learn yourself. The micro-budget strategy is simple. Maximize favors, minimize cash expenditures, and lean heavily on passion and relationships. You're looking at very limited shooting days, typically 3 to 7 days total. Small crew of 5 to 10 people. Heavy reliance on deferred payments, which means people get paid only if the film makes money. Use this approach if you're making your first indie film, a proof of concept, or a festival short.
Second, low-budget indie, $100,000 to $500,000. Now you're entering professional territory. Some positions get paid market rates. Your director of photography, assistant director, and sound mixer should be compensated properly. You can afford professional camera packages, Red, Arri, the cameras that create festival and distribution quality images. Full lighting and grip packages become possible.
Your locations become a mix of free and paid. Budget $500 to $2,000 per day for key locations. You can work with SAG-AFTRA under their ultra-low budget or modified low-budget agreements, which gives you access to professional actors. Post-production becomes truly professional. Color correction, sound design, proper mixing. The low-budget strategy is strategic spending. Pay competitive rates for critical positions, defer where possible but maintain professional standards. You're looking at 12 to 18 shooting days, mid-size crew of 15 to 25 people. Use this approach when you've raised investor money, successful crowdfunding, or received grants. Third, medium budget, $1 million and up. At this level, everyone gets paid professional union rates, DGA for directors, IATSE or comparable non-union rates for crew. You can afford high-end camera packages, full lighting and grip trucks, specialty equipment for complex shots. Locations are fully permitted shoots with substantial location fees and production design budgets. You can work with SAG-AFTRA at low budget or theatrical rates, which means you can potentially attract recognizable actors. Post-production includes the full pipeline: editing, visual effects, color correction, sound design, music composition. You can even budget for marketing and distribution, which is often overlooked at lower budget levels. Looking at our comparison table in your workbook, notice how money allocation changes dramatically. Micro-budgets spend the highest percentage on post-production because you're doing DIY production but professional finishing. Low budgets balance production value with creative personnel. Medium budgets can afford name talent and extensive marketing. The priorities shift based on what becomes possible at each level. Now, let's dive into the 3 essential documents every producer must master. As you'll see detailed in your workbook, these aren't just paperwork. They're strategic tools that can make or break your project. Document 1. The Production Budget Template. This is your detailed financial blueprint, and it follows a standard industry structure for good reason. Development costs cover story rights, script development, and pre-production planning. Pre-production costs include location scouting, casting, and rehearsals. Production period costs are everything during principal photography, crew, equipment, locations, catering, transportation. Post-production covers editing, sound, color, music, and delivery. Finally, marketing and distribution, often forgotten but essential for actually getting your film seen. Where do you get these templates? Studio Binder offers excellent free web-based templates. Movie Magic Budgeting is the industry standard software, though it requires a subscription. We're also providing Excel templates that you can customize for your specific needs. Choose the tool that works for your operation and your team's workflow. Document 2. The Deal Memo. This is your simplified contract for quickly hiring crew and cast before full contracts are executed. Think of it as a handshake agreement in writing. Key elements include clear compensation terms, start and end dates, credit specification, and work-for-hire language that protects your project. Here's why deal memos matter. They let you move quickly when you find the right person, but they also protect both parties legally. Include the project name and dates, the individual's name and role, specific compensation details, payment schedule, credit terms, and ownership language. As you'll see in the sample structure in your workbook, it's simple but comprehensive. Document 3, the Budget Justification Memo. This narrative document explains your budget choices to investors and stakeholders. Remember, people aren't just funding your project, they're funding your judgment as a producer. Structure it with an executive summary of total budget and project scope, your budget philosophy explaining your approach to spending, detailed rationale for major line items, explanation of cost-saving strategies, and a contingency plan for handling overages. This document demonstrates that you've done your homework, researched realistic costs, and thought strategically about every dollar. It's often the difference between getting funded and getting dismissed as unprepared. Let's talk about the financial realities that many beginning producers overlook, starting with fringes. Fringes are additional costs beyond base salary. Payroll taxes like FICA and Medicare, workers' compensation insurance, and union pension and health contributions. These aren't optional. They're legal requirements that typically add 20 to 35% to your gross wages. Here's why this matters. If you budget a crew member at $100 per day, the actual cost to your production is $125 to $135 per day when you include fringes. Forgetting fringes is how inexperienced producers blow their budgets before they even start shooting. Insurance requirements are non-negotiable in professional production. General liability protects against injury and property damage claims. Equipment insurance covers rented and owned gear. Errors and omissions, or E&O, protects against copyright claims and legal challenges to your content. Workers' compensation is required by law if you have employees rather than independent contractors. Budget impact for insurance typically runs 3 to 5% of your total budget. Yes, it's expensive, but one accident or lawsuit can destroy your project and your personal finances. This is exactly what I mean by shift happens. Insurance is your safety net when Murphy's Law strikes. Deferred payment agreements deserve special attention because they're common in independent production, but legally complex. Deferred payment means paying crew and cast after the film generates revenue instead of during production. Legal considerations include putting everything in writing, specifying exact payment triggers, and deciding between profit participation versus fixed deferred amounts.
Here's the hard truth about deferred deals. Many are never collected because most independent films don't generate significant revenue. SAG-AFTRA has specific rules for deferred deals, and violating them can create serious legal problems. If you're going to use deferrals, get proper legal advice and be honest with everyone about the risks.
Let me share the warning signs of amateur budgets that will get your project rejected by serious investors or collaborators. Red flag number 1, no contingency line. If you don't have at least 10% contingency, you're telling everyone you've never actually produced anything before. Red flag number 2, unrealistic crew rates. Too low means you'll get unprofessional work or no one will show up. Too high means you don't understand your market. Missing insurance costs, no fringes calculated on salaries, severely under-budgeted post-production. These mistakes scream amateur hour. No location fees included, equipment costs that don't match your shooting days, missing marketing and distribution budget. All red flags that will sink your credibility instantly. Green flags of professional budgets include clear category organization, 10% contingency included, realistic estimates based on actual research, and fringes and taxes properly calculated. Full insurance and legal costs included, post-production fully accounted for, and detailed notes explaining any unusual items. These elements tell investors you're serious and competent. Common beginner mistakes I see every semester: forgetting meal costs, crew must eat, and feeding people properly keeps morale high. Under-budgeting transportation, Getting people and equipment to locations costs real money. Ignoring permit fees, assuming free locations will stay free, and not budgeting for pickups and reshoots. Every experienced producer knows you'll need additional shooting days to fix problems or capture missing elements. Let's talk about your Week 3 deliverable, which is due at the start of Week 4. This assignment has 2 parts, both designed to give you hands-on budgeting experience with your own project. Part 1. Create a preliminary top sheet budget for your semester project. Include story and rights costs, development costs, pre-production estimates, and production period costs, assuming 5 shoot days. Don't forget post-production costs and a 10% contingency. Use any of the templates we've provided, Excel, Google Sheets, or the web-based options. Part 2. Write a 1 to 2 page budget justification memo explaining your budget philosophy, rationale for your 3 largest line items, cost-saving strategies you'll employ, and how you researched your numbers. This isn't busy work. It's practice for the real conversations you'll have with investors and collaborators. Submit everything as a Google Doc shared with me, your budget as a spreadsheet, and your justification as a written document. All the resources you need are in your workbook: templates, video tutorials, real examples, and that comprehensive PDF guide on low-budget filmmaking. Let me share some hard-earned wisdom from my years in production. Always pad your estimates. Things cost more than you think, especially when you're learning. Research local rates because Chicago costs are not Los Angeles costs. Build relationships with vendors because those relationships turn into better deals over time. Track your actual spending against your budget every week during production. And be brutally honest. Lowballing a budget to get greenlit will destroy you when you're actually in production. Looking ahead to Week 4, we're moving into scheduling and pre-production planning. This is where we'll take your budgeted project and figure out how to actually shoot it efficiently and professionally. We'll explore strip boards, day out of days charts, shooting schedules, and all the tools that turn your creative vision into a practical production plan. Remember, budgeting isn't just accounting, it's creative problem solving. Every constraint forces innovation, every limitation sparks creativity, and every dollar saved in one area can be invested in something that makes your story better. Whether you're watching this live or through our University of YouTube approach, you now have the tools to create professional budgets that will serve your projects and your career. Thank you for your attention and engagement today. I'm excited to see the budgets you create this week, and I'm here to help if you run into challenges. Keep thinking strategically, keep planning practically, and I'll see you next week for our exploration of scheduling and pre-production. Great work today, everyone.